100%. We did this. I think I had it 2 or 3 times in a row where I recorded, and I would record with people that like, hey, somebody like I know, but like we're not like this isn't just me and Rachel doing it. This would be having somebody come in here and actually sit down and record. Had this amazing conversation, got done. I only had one camera on.
Oh yeah.
And then
I watch this one podcast, and sometimes, like I know the other day, he had a camera, it overheated or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like 18 minutes of just audio before camera picked up.
Oh, gosh, that's the worst. That's what happened with mine another time. It overheats, and so that's why I've got the external batteries attached to them. So I've learned that helps. And then if you leave the doors of the cameras open, so like I actually have cinema cameras that are made for this, but I don't like I haven't learned the functionality of it, which I probably should.
Right.
It's like you having some tools in your shop and be like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have to learn some tools myself. Mm-hmm. You know, when I get them, I'm like, oh, okay, this is neat, because I started out in the backyard or in the yard and having to use caveman tools. Yeah, essentially, and then now I'm getting these nicer tools, and I'm like, holy crap, like.
So that's an interesting jump on that too. So I'll talk about that. So let me just go ahead and intro real fast. So welcome back to everybody. I said welcome back to everybody. I don't know why I said that. Welcome back. Another episode of the podcast. Today I've got my good buddy here, Phillip Babb. Babb I've known for years now. We worked together at the police department, got hired in together, and then both of us now kind of gone on to separate things, and you have pretty awesome business, which seems to be doing well. So tell me about it, man.
Yeah, man. So like I said, we met when we got hired on to the police department, and that was in 2013, man. Yeah. It's been a minute. Yeah. So, I finished up my tenure with the police department. I got 10 and a half years total. Not with just UA. I was already a police officer when I came to UA, but I finished up my 10 and a half years and then decided to do my own thing. I worked on cars the whole time I was an officer just for side money, because a lot of these police departments, they don't want you to work other places for extra money. So I just worked on cars at home, and I really enjoyed it. So I decided to give it a go, and here we are.
You are the definition of taking a passion into a career.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I always said I didn't want to do it for a living. I said I never wanted to turn wrenches for a living because it was my hobby. And, they say whenever you have a hobby and you turn it into a career, it becomes not so much of a great hobby anymore.
Yeah, you realize all the bullshit of that you don't like.
Yeah, and I'm kind of getting back to it because I have employees, so they can take the brunt of most of the stuff, so I can actually enjoy working on my own shit again, as opposed to it's just a daily grind.
Yeah. So. Well, it was wild, man, because I remember back working with you, don't stop.
No, and I've slowed down a lot nowadays.
Okay, because
I'm getting older, man. I'm about to turn 41, bro.
That's so crazy.
And I was spring chicken back then, is what I like to say. But now I'm getting old. I hurt. I used to love running, and now I can't hardly run at all.
Look, it happens to the best of us, buddy. But it was. It's crazy. You would come in, work like shift, hit overtime, and then I'm looking at you on Instagram in the fucking shop at 2:00 in the morning working on something.
Yeah, for most of my police career, I worked night shift, so I would work all night and then sleep till about 2:00, and then I'd get up and work in the shop until it's time to get a shower to go back to work. So it was pretty crazy. Looking back on it, I don't know how I did it, because now I'm like. I'm getting lazy, man. I just wanted to go home and drink some beers and chill.
It's different though when you get to just do it for fun. You were still working on cars and stuff for people. You were still doing things and working on projects. What was the car that you had that was absurd? You had one that was
the little Civic hatchback.
Yeah.
So that started out as just a '92 Civic, and decided I wanted to build something to kind of demonstrate my capability. So I took the little Civic, and it made 760 horsepower at first, front-wheel drive, and then I got bored with that and converted it to all-wheel drive, and then it made 904 horsepower all-wheel drive. And I actually sold that car to start my business. So
no way.
Yeah, so I sold that car in December, I think it's a little over 4 years ago, and then in January I turned in my notice. So it was it allowed me to have the funds to kind of kickstart my business.
That's crazy. Was it hard getting rid of it?
Not really. It probably took probably a couple months to sell it. A guy came from California with an enclosed trailer and took it back to California.
All right. How'd it feel when you watched it drive away?
I don't get attached to cars like that.
Really?
No, a lot of people, they get attached to their cars, and they're like, oh, I would never sell my car. And I'm like, I don't give a shit, bro. Like, it's just a fucking car.
I can get another one.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's not like I paid somebody else to build it. So if I decided to build one, I could just build it myself.
Yeah.
So,
I've thought about getting rid of mine a few times because I've learned, buying expensive cars comes with really expensive
maintenance. Yeah.
People tried telling me, I didn't listen, and I've thought about it, and I will, like the day that I had my brakes put in, I remember like coming back to the house and the car's not there, and I'm like, where's my car? I just want to drive my car.
Yeah, I just don't really get attached to cars like that, man. Right now I own like 6 cars, so
That's
I mean
wild.
I could like choose a car of the week or car of the day for each week, and it's just I just never have been attached to cars like that.
Yeah.
I own an Escalade right now, and I bought it like in 2020, and I think it's the longest I've ever owned a car.
I was gonna say you've had that for a minute. You
I
got it
bought
like right.
I bought it right after I left the UA.
Uh huh.
So yeah, and I still have it.
That's crazy.
And I don't really that's probably the one vehicle that I just wouldn't turn loose of right now. Because it serves multiple purposes, because I can haul my children with it and I can tow with it. So, I mean, it doesn't get driven a ton, but it's a purpose-built vehicle.
It's wild that you own it because it's not a Honda. Like, it kind of trips me out when I saw you with Escalade. I was like, it just felt like that wasn't like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also have a Toyota 4Runner that's lifted. And,
nice.
So I mean, I have that to take off-road, and I have like a vehicle for each occasion.
Like when you do it for a living, though, and you can do that, and you can buy these cars, you can get stuff that's inexpensive and make it awesome.
True, and I can buy stuff that has issues.
Yeah.
And it doesn't steer me away because I know I can fix it.
See, okay, so how did this come? Like, how did you figure all this out? Like, was this you grow up that way?
Actually, no, nobody in my family did mechanics. I mean, my stepdad did like diesel mechanics, but I didn't grow up with my mom and my stepdad, so I mean, I wasn't around that. Fast and Furious came out when I was a senior in high school, bro, and that was the coolest shit I'd ever seen. And I was like, I want to do that, but I was broke.
Yeah.
So it was either I had to learn how to do it myself, or I wasn't doing it. I mean, plain and simple. So that was before Facebook and all this. So we used forums. We had tons of forums that we could go on and kind of get some broken information and kind of piece it together to make it happen. And I picked it up fairly well. And I've had some good friends. I have another friend that owns a shop. It's been open for like 25 years now. And I'm just the type of person, I can learn something from everybody. If I hang around you for a little bit, I'll learn something from you, even if it's doing something like this podcast. So I just always try to take away something from everybody that I'm around. And, one guy I may have learned some wiring from, another guy I may have learned some fabrication stuff from, and just kind of got it to where it is now.
It's wild. That's wild. I mean, it's awesome because that's the thing that was part of why I really wanted you to come in, man. Is because like I know, it's you have this business, and the business seems like it's doing well.
We do all right.
Like I mean, it's but you have always like been. I feel like almost everything that I've seen you do really well. Like you did. I mean, you were good as a cop. You did this for years. You excelled there. You would learn new stuff. You have this YouTube channel, which we haven't even mentioned. Was it Honda Resource, right?
All right.
I mean, that kills.
It does all right. I don't really push it because it's financially, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
A lot of work.
It is a lot of work for minimal financial gain.
Yeah.
I have almost 50,000 subscribers on there now, but I mean, truthfully, I mean, it doesn't make enough to even justify doing it. I mean, I'm making like $550 a month. Yeah. But again, I know it's one of those type things. Like if I push it, it'll make more money. But I'm more I like the instant gratification. And like if I do something today, I want to see the results today, as opposed to I'll see the results in 6 months.
YouTube's hard, man.
It is.
Because it really takes that time. And you really never know, because something may sit for 6 months and then just pop off.
True. Or, and it's really, it sucks with YouTube too, because you'll do something, you're like, oh man, this shit's fucking great. And you post it and it fucking tanks, bro.
And it's like, the thing that you spent the most time on,
and
too.
It's like a kick in the balls. It's like, what the fuck? Like, why? And then the dumbest shit ever. Like, I posted, even like with reels, I do some reels and stuff now too, because it's short form content, and it does, you can do it really quick. But one day I posted, I got a little tumbler. It looks like a Honda oil filter, and I'm just like sitting there drinking my morning coffee, and I just took a little clip of my coffee cup, and it hit like 500,000 views. I'm like, why? Like, this makes no sense.
I know. I can never figure it out. Yeah. I've tried to replicate stuff, and then I'll take something like that, and the idea for growth is once something works, just double down on it. And I'm like, well, how am I going to do? Am I just going to have a whole channel of me just with a coffee cup and just sitting here?
Maybe you could get one for each manufacturer. Like mine was a Honda filter. Maybe you could get one for Toyota, one for Dodge or something.
Hey, man, you better order them up and start trying them.
And speaking of that, I've been kind of thinking of changing the Honda Resource to something different. I don't know if you saw or not, but like the other day, my Honda Resource Facebook page got suspended.
No.
Yeah, because I literally took the off of the name. So now instead of the Honda Resource, it just says Honda Resource. So I guess Facebook flagged it or something, because Honda is the first word of it.
I wonder if, maybe is it copyright?
So that's the only thing I can imagine. But I mean, legally, it's the Honda Resource LLC.
Has it been able to be put back up? Or
No,
is it
not
still?
yet. I'm still fighting that. But that just happened this weekend. So
that's crazy.
But at the same time, I mean, calling it the Honda Resource, granted, I love working on Hondas, but it kind of puts me in a box.
Yeah.
To where if I change it to something different, I can, not necessarily steer away from Hondas, but I can welcome all makes and models, and, not necessarily put me in a box, but also not put me up for copyright issues in the future. Because I don't want to blow this thing up and then Honda sends me a cease and desist or something,
That happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the wild thing about what we do now is I hate to say it like that, but like I almost feel like nothing's ever safe, because I see this, people build up YouTube channels, build the stuff up, they go through all this, they get to where they have 1 million followers, and then just gone. Yeah. YouTube pulls plug, Google, whoever behind the scenes is like, no, can't do this.
Yeah.
It's especially problematic with my business because of what we do, and it's a little bit harder just to be able to post that somewhere without, you posting women in lingerie. I enjoy looking at it. It's okay for Victoria's Secret to do it, just not okay for me to do it. So
it's because you're not spending the big ad money.
That's it. Maybe we get a higher ad spend budget. I'll talk to Rachel about it, and we'll see what we can do.
Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. It's but I mean, but like I was saying though, man, everything that you do, you go. I feel like you put 100% into it. And when I'm saying you don't stop, I mean, like I said, you may have slowed down a little bit now, but I guarantee you still work circles around most people.
Yeah, I get really hyper-focused on something. When I decide I want something, I just kind of go there. It's a curse too, man. I promise you it is, especially with the cars. I'll be sitting here and like I decide, I want to build XYZ car, and then 6 months later I have that car. As opposed to where it takes somebody else years to build it. Now here I am spending all my money building some that just because I wanted to. I mean, recently I built the V6 CRV, and CRVs never came with a V6, but it's just like, hey, I want to build a V6 CRV, and now I have one. It's probably like one of 2 in the world.
Right.
That's all-wheel. There's some that are front-wheel drive, but mine is all-wheel drive, so that's what sets it apart.
That's wicked.
So.
What is it about the CRV for you? I know that's been your thing for a minute.
I don't really know. It's kind of like you were talking about stuff hitting and missing, and then you find something that hits, and it kind of just, you roll with it. That's kind of how I was with the CRVs. I started dealing with those and doing some repair videos, and they got a lot of views and a lot of just interactions in total, just comments and likes. And I, effectively became the CRV resource, you know? And so a lot of people knew me for the CRV. So I was like, okay, well, after I sold my green car, I bought a CRV and I did a turbo setup in it. You know, it was lifted and just, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say it was over the top, but it was cool for a CRV. So, and then I sold it a little over a year ago and started with this V6 adventure on the one I'm on now, because I go to this car show every year in October. It's at the Tail of the Dragon. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's
I want to.
I've been there the last 4 years now, but the first 3 years I went, I took the lifted CRV, and it's just not that much fun going through 318 curves with a lifted CRV. Now, granted, it was fun still, but it's just not as fun.
Yeah.
So the last time I went with the lifted one, I was like, you know, it's time that I get something to run these curves like they're meant to be run. So, you know, it's still funny seeing a CRV do it. You know, I built this one, and it has track-inspired suspension. I mean, it was built to do like autocross. I mean, it's got some really good suspension on it. And then with the power that the V6 outputs compared to like the basic four-cylinder, it does really well. You know, and I was telling a Supra the whole way through it, and I was giving him absolute hell the whole way down. And you know, people see the CRV like, what the hell,
like,
man?
What? Come on, man.
And that's another thing I enjoy about the CRV. You know, now
It's a sleeper.
when I open the hood, they're like, holy shit, like, what is this? You know,
It's so crazy, man. Like, I've seen some of the stuff that you've done and built, man. It's phenomenal, though. And it's like timeline for something like that. I mean, is it?
It took me probably about 6 months to do the CRV.
How much of that are you doing yourself?
I would say probably 95%.
Crazy.
Yeah, as I don't let I have 5 employees, but I don't let them work on my stuff. I mean, they do good work, but it's just
your thing.
When it
That's
comes
your
to the,
baby. That's what you're.
Well, yeah, but when it comes to the modifying, you know, it takes a kind of a special skill set to do modifications. It's one thing to replace a part, but it's another thing to take this part and make it work on something that it never was intended to work on.
Right.
So I feel like as far as that goes, I mean, they could figure it out, but for me, I'd rather me figure it out too. Right. And that way, if I have issues in the future, I kind of know what I did to make this one work, and I can address it.
It's almost like it's your education, you're learning hands on with your stuff.
True. Yeah.
You're figuring that out, and then if you fuck it up, it's yours.
It's crazy. I never have any formal education for working on cars.
Right.
I have a degree from the university, but it's in computer science.
That's what I was about to ask what the degree was.
It's criminal justice with a minor in computer science. I wanted to do computer forensics. That was my goal. But whenever I got out of college, that was in 2008, they said, you can't just go into computer forensics. You have to be an officer first. Now you can as a civilian. You can go straight into it. They have all those classes specifically geared towards computer forensics, where then it just wasn't a thing. I was trying to be like on the cutting edge of things.
Right.
But, I got in with the police force and got comfortable, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can do this. But I never wanted to be an officer growing up, man. I hated the police because, again, I've always been into cars and always done dumb shit.
Same.
I've had almost every kind of moving violation you can imagine. I've ran from the police on foot. I've ran from the police in cars. Like, I've done some crazy shit in my younger days. I was never into drugs or alcohol, but if you want to call it an addiction, you could say my cars were my addiction. And I've done a lot of crazy shit in my younger days.
So, I always tell people too, I'm like, when you think of police, there's this idea that, there's certain, like at UA, there's certain types of officers, right? That's only college educated, never done anything wrong in their life, military background, and that is some of them. Mm-hmm. But I always try to tell people, I'm like, there's at least half of them that are a bunch of damn, just hooligans. Fools. Yeah. I was expelled from multiple schools, fighting, like I was doing drugs, I was doing the stuff back in the day, and I hated the police. I do the same thing. I'd try to run anytime I could. I've run on foot. We used to try to instigate shit, almost, it was just fun when you were a kid, but it's just funny to end up in that position
Yeah.
You know?
You know what's crazy is, like I said, I didn't drink or anything, and I didn't drink until I was 21. But I got arrested for minor possession when I was like 18.
No way.
Because it was in my car and I got pulled over because it was, okay, again, I grew up in the Fast and Furious days. So
Yeah,
we
same.
had the underglows.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had blue underglows on my car, and I knew it was illegal to run down the road with them on, but we had been posted up we hung out at CVS at the time because that's back in the day. Everybody hung out.
Yeah.
We didn't have social media and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, we weren't FaceTiming. We weren't doing this bullshit.
So,
you had to meet in a parking lot.
Yeah, so like every weekend we were hanging out. And so we had been hanging out in the parking lot at CVS, and my girlfriend at the time, she had turned them on. And I didn't know that she had turned them on. And so we took out, and we were driving and got pulled over for those, and there was a cooler in my back seat that had alcohol in it that she had from New Year's, and this was on like January 10th. Man. But it was all sealed, all hot, and but we were both minors, and we were in Pickens County, so it's dry.
Oh, that's it. Yep.
So
okay.
Yeah, we both got arrested, and my car got towed, and now I got it off my record, but it happened.
That's crazy. Did you have to go through the stuff where you go in pick up trash or anything, or they just?
No, my granddad was a fire chief, and I don't know if that
Nice.
I don't know
helps.
if that helped or what, but I never got my money back, like from having the car towed and that kind of stuff. But
I think that's another thing for me was officer discretion. That was one of those things that I learned later on in life that, like, just everything doesn't have to be addressed. Just because it is. It doesn't have to be. That was just my experience later.
Yeah.
You know, I had people take it easy on me. I actually, it was a funny story. I don't know if I'd ever told you. So, well, you don't know. Did you know Bajents? Because he was over the academy.
Yeah.
So he was in the academy when we went, and he actually was an officer that had wrote me a ticket. It was the last ticket that I'd ever gotten, and it was the one that made me lose my driver's license because I had so many tickets and points already. And I remember asking him about it. Like, I don't know. I know he didn't remember it, but I was like, you know, it's kind of a full circle moment. I was like, because I was actually trying to go to the fire department, and back then, you know, you had to know someone. Mm-hmm. You weren't just getting on, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll do EMT basic down at the fire college. Well, went through that, or I was about to start. I had just moved out, and ended up getting. I was going through, what was it? I'm trying to think of my timeline, but I think it was, I moved out, totaled my truck 2 days after moving out, got another truck, a little cheap Tacoma. My grandfather had just bought it for me because it was like $6,000, just something, just so I had a vehicle, and I had no money. And so a couple weeks later, I get pulled over. I was running stop sign. I had like 4 violations, and he wrote me 1. But turns out that 1 was the one that put me over. So fast forward to when I start EMT basic in August. This happened, I think, in like July. I start in August. I'd have to get dropped off. My first day at school, I'm having to get dropped off. And I was like, this is great. And so then we go do our little rotations where you do your stuff at the fire department. You do your couple shifts where you're, on the truck and whatnot. And I did great. The guys were like, oh, no, we want you, because I showed up like I'm supposed to, show up early, show up with shit tucked in, look like you have it together. Be willing to help out. Everything they did, I did. If they're cleaning, I'm cleaning. I treated it like I worked on the shift with them. So they're like, hey, we want to see if we can put in a word for you. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And he goes, okay, so is there anything we need to know? And I was like, well, so here's the thing. You know how, like, I didn't drive here? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I don't have a license right now. It's been taken away. And they're like, yeah, you can't get hired here. They're like, you're going to have to wait 3 to 5 years. And so that waiting is the reason I ended up at the police department. And
that's crazy. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. It was crazy because I was just like, that's what I was going to do, man. And I was set up because it would have worked out for me. Like, I don't know if I would have made it through recruit school, though. I was not mentally, I don't know, did you ever do the CPAT? Have you ever tried that? Mm-mm. Yeah, like you probably would have been fine. Like you're always kind of a savage, like fit wise.
Yeah, no, not so much.
No, dude, you still like I remember having a guy telling me, he was like, look, this test, it's all mental, man. It's all mental. And I was like, okay. So I remember going in, and I chugged a 5-hour energy right before we went. Well, I didn't know there was a classroom portion to this, and so I'm sitting in the classroom, and I'm just
Wigging
like,
out.
dude, I'm nervous. I'm just moving the whole time. I'm on coke or something, you know. I think I was taking Adderall at the time too, so it was just a whole thing. And so we get out there. Well, the way that exam is, you get onto a stair climber, and I've been practicing the stair climber, but I didn't have a weighted vest. So the whole test is a 50-pound weight vest. When you're on the stair climber, you have an extra 30 pounds. Don't touch the sides. You do 3.5 minutes at like 60 or 90 steps a minute, maybe 90 steps a minute. It's a lot. And I remember okay, hang on. So it's you come off of that, and then as soon as you come off, they take the extra 30 pounds off of you. You grab the hose. You have to run around, do a bunch of stuff, and then the rest of the test is going. The whole test is like 10 minutes, and I got on that. And after what felt like minute 35 on the stair climber, my heart is just like beating out my chest. I mean, it's like having like somebody had like some old like W6 like JLIOs, and it's just beating, and it's just this unreal feeling. Yeah. I'm dying. I can't breathe. I'm about to pass out. And they were like, "Okay, that's 1 minute." I'm like, no. I'm like, okay. I can do this. It's all mental. And I was picturing Rex telling me, he's like, it's all mental. I got this. And I get it. And I made it off of that. And when I turned, I dropped. Yeah. I was jello. I couldn't. And so I finally grabbed the hose. I pull the hose around the first thing, and I get the whole thing pulled up to me. And the proctor, he's standing right next to me, and I'm moving on to the next part of it, and he's still standing there. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, "You're supposed to come with me. We're going." He's just looking at me, and he looked, and I'm like, "Oh, there's another like 100 foot of hose I still have to pull." And he was like, what do you think? You think you're gonna? And I was like, "It's okay. We tried." I left and never came back.
That kind of reminds me, just that story kind of reminds me of getting pepper sprayed and then having to like do the stuff. Oh, you know, I've been pepper sprayed twice because I got pepper sprayed at Northport too, and I would say Northport was worse than UA. Mm-hmm. But kind of, you know, where you have to go and arrest. Did you have to do like the arrest the dummy or anything? Hit the dummy or anything?
Ours was so easy.
Yeah,
it was. If we got sprayed, it sucked.
Did you get sprayed at the academy or at the police?
At the department? Oh, okay. At the PD.
So, yeah. So at Northport, like you had to go and like arrest another person.
Did you have to do the like say anything, or was it just basically go get them and then? No,
you have to like tell them to get them, get on the ground or stop resisting or something. But I mean that's been some years ago, so I don't remember every vivid detail of it. But yeah, I remember vividly that it fucking sucked. But over there, they use a different pepper spray than the UA used, where UA's was kind of like a Fokker. Mm-hmm. Northport's was a stream. And so they kind of put a Z across your face with it, and it was a whole cup of suck. Yeah. That shit was terrible.
Make you question life choices?
Yes, like for 45 minutes is pure hell. To where UA in 10 minutes I was good.
Right. I suffered a little more than 10 minutes, but it wasn't. I've heard that it's worse at other places, just because I guess the spray itself.
I know there's different. Like I said, UA used a Fogger at the time. I don't know what they're using now, but at Northport it was a stream.
Did you go through the TASE?
At UA I did.
Okay. Yeah. Which one did you? If you got to do
one,
I
would take Taser any day, bro.
Okay.
5 seconds, you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a little bit of muscle soreness, but fuck pepper spray.
What people don't know, if you're listening to this, it actually reactivates later when you get in the shower.
Mm-hmm. So you have to kind of take a shower, like kind of stooped over, like to where you're like washing this shit to where it's not running down your balls. Because fuck that,
dude. It's so bad because I forgot. I learned the hard way.
And so you had a life lesson.
Yep. And then it also reactivated slightly after that when we were having sex later that night. It was, Rachel was not overly thrilled about it. So it wasn't as bad because I'd already heard the story of other people doing this, and then I just forgot. And I was like, well, I've already showered. I'm good. No, it's still hanging around.
Go down on her and just like set her
everything
on fire.
Yeah, don't you like spicy things? You know, so it was so bad, man. But things like that. It's the stuff that like sometimes I'll forget about, and then I'll remember, and I'm going, oh yeah, no.
Yeah. Did you do the taser?
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
It was not fun. I made some sort of noise I didn't know that I could make, and I remember just being like, no, don't do this. You got this. You can handle this. And then, yeah, because they're talking. You think you're preparing, and they're like, they're counting you down, and they just went.
I would say the suspense leading up to being shot with it was probably the worst ever. Mm-hmm. Like I had way more anxiety over that than I did the pepper spray.
Right.
Way more. But I mean, if it was to do it again, I would 100% do the taser over pepper spray.
Yeah, it's over. It happens. It's over. You're good.
Yeah.
I do love watching people get sprayed, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that everybody from the police department always comes out to watch everybody get sprayed.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fun. It was like the video on somewhere, like on YouTube or whatever, of the high school, like, gym teacher or whatever.
Yeah.
Had all the students sign a thing basically saying they could do it, and he walked all down the line and sprayed them all, and they're all just screaming and yelling, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and the pepper spray is one of those scents that you never forget.
That's what I was just about to say. You know when.
Yeah. I mean, if another officer sprays it and you're like, oh shit,
everybody's just like, here we go.
You start coughing and.
I'm getting up. That's a quick way to end up having to deal with that yourself.
Yeah.
You start spraying. I'm moving, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm at least moving to where I'm spraying downwind if I can. Thankfully, I never had to deploy anything like that on anybody.
Right.
So I've never sprayed anybody, never tased anybody, never shot anybody. Now, I've had to fight some people. I've had to do quite a bit of that, especially at Northport.
So I was having this conversation with someone the other day. Oh, it's one of the guys I work out with. He works over at Taylor Hardin. And this dude's a big guy. I mean, he benches like 450. He's massive. And he was telling me the other day, I come in and he was like, man, I got to tell you, he goes, you'll love this. He goes, I had to fight a guy the other day for about 20 minutes. And I was like, he was saying it's the worst like that's been, all the stuff. And I was like, small guy. And he was like, yeah. He was like 115 pounds.
And that's what always happens is it usually is always the biggest officer that always gets in the most fights because everybody wants to try them. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand that. Like,
I thankfully did not have that problem because I am not going to be in competition for the biggest officer.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I didn't get many fights. I don't think I got any fights at UA. I've gotten several foot chases, and I just kind of tackled them, and it was over. It was funny, like, when I first got on at UA and I was going through phases, like where I was riding with the training officer, we were riding out in the fringe, and if you're listening to this and you don't understand what the fringe is, it's kind of an area that overlaps with the university and Tuscaloosa Police, like where a lot of students live. And so, but the university still patrols that area. And we were out, it was on night shift, and we got a report of some kids breaking into cars. But all they were doing, when I say breaking into cars, they were pulling handles. And if it was open, they were going through it and getting stuff. So we were cruising around looking for these kids, and we found them over, what's that little convenience store down there on Bryant Drive?
The JD's?
JD's, yeah. We were over kind of close to JD's Market, and I spotted them. And I was riding with Turner at the time. Mm-hmm. He was a training officer. And so we called it out, and the kids split. And so I hopped out chasing one of them, and I hadn't learned all the roads yet, but I jumped 2 fences chasing this kid. And we were going south, so we were going like towards 15th Street. And the second fence we went over, I caught him, and I tackled him into a rose bush, but he wouldn't give me his hand, so we had a little bit of a scuffle there for a bit until I got him into custody. And then now I know where I was, but at that time I had no idea like how to tell dispatch where I was, and nobody knew where I was. So I'm like on the radio, I'm like, dispatch, I'm in the backyard of this place that's at the cul-de-sac. It's 15th Street Court. It has a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
It's the only cul-de-sac over there. But I had no idea where I was actually at.
Yeah.
And so I'm like telling them, I'm walking out with him. I got him in custody. I have no idea where I'm at.
We'll figure it out.
They eventually found me, but
Yeah.
it was just, maybe not the best decision to take off like that, not knowing where I was at.
Yeah, but I mean, how often? I mean, when you were with Northport, I mean, it would have been the same thing, though.
Yeah, I mean, and
you end up in the woods.
That's kind of where, I guess, having prior police experience was bad in that instance, because I had the instinct to go chase them. Whereas if you were green, like when you came in, you're like, oh, well, what should I do? Mm-hmm. To where I'm like, fuck it, here we go.
Yeah,
and I got in trouble another time when I was still in FTO. I was riding with Wilson, but we were out on the strip, and there was something that happened, and I wound up running from kind of over there at that the strip mall, like where the Little Italy and all that used to be.
Oh yeah, Town Center.
So I ran from over there to over behind Publix. There was the suspect. We saw him, and so I ran and got him. And she was like, "Don't you ever run off from me like that again?" I'm like, "My bad."
Yeah, they didn't want to run. They want to have to do it.
Well, it's not necessarily that, but I used to be fairly quick, so I mean, I could run off and leave somebody.
you would leave everyone.
Yeah, I mean, going through the police academy, I was always first on every time we ran, every single time. I mean, but I was all the way up to I was like 35. I could still run a 7-minute mile. Mm-hmm. So when I got hired at UA, I ran the 1.5 miles in under 10 minutes.
Yeah, I remember running with you when we first started, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not running with you."
Yeah, but I'm the type of runner, I don't run well with others. So I run at my pace. I can't run at somebody else's pace. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I can't, I would suck at doing an Army style run where you're having to run together as a unit. I've never been able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've always just kind of been to do your own thing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can work as a team, but I mean, it's always, you would rather just be solo, do your thing.
Yeah, and as far as talking about business, I've kind of had to learn to not do that.
Right. That was about to be my question.
Because now I have 5 employees, and it's really, I've had to step back and not be so hands-on, and that's tough when it's always been you and everything depended on you.
What's the biggest challenge you've had with this new business?
As far as just employees,
I mean, just anything. I mean, for you, the thing that going into it, because anybody, if you've never owned a business like that, you're hit with a lot. It's not just as simple as just okay, I have a license, we're good to go.
Everything's a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like I told you earlier, no one in my family worked on cars, but also no one had a business. They've always worked for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really having to wing it with a lot of stuff. Stuff like sales tax. You're supposed to do this or you're supposed to do that. Well, okay, well, I didn't know. Whenever I first set up shop over there, I was probably there a year and a half, and the city sent me a collection because I hadn't had a city business license. But I'm not in the city, but I'm in a police jurisdiction. So they were like, oh, well, you got to have a business license if you're in the police jurisdiction. I'm like, well, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that if I'd have had a mentor or something, it would be beneficial, or somebody that I could ask questions to. And, again, no one in my family had done it. So it was kind of like, okay, well, here we go.
There's this whole thing, and I love being able to say this. I can't remember exactly how it's put, but they talk about the biggest difference in people that are successful and people that aren't successful is that the person that sees the most success, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier. It's just okay, I see something, that's what I'm going to do. I make the decision and I go with it. And it's that person that's a decision that may take person A, or person B, it may take them 6 months to make a decision on something. Hey, I'm going to do this. Maybe I do this. Okay, what about this? And then person A, that's a 2 week. That's 2 weeks tops, maybe a week, maybe even a day. It's just, hey, yep, okay, let's go. And sometimes you fuck up, and sometimes you're going to put yourself in a situation. But if you just keep doing that over and over and over again, because you can't mitigate every circumstance. You can't go into a business and know everything.
Yeah, you can't make everybody happy
Yeah.
either. You know, I've got a couple
sure.
people left me like a 1-star review. I mean, it sucks. I hate it.
But that's like the nature of what that is.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't, gosh, like people, it's so, like I always take reviews with a grain of salt when you go somewhere.
Yeah.
Because some people are just difficult.
Well, and also, if you have a good experience somewhere, you don't typically go and leave a review.
Yeah.
If you have a bad experience, you want to go and leave a review so nobody else experiences that.
Yeah.
So I've kind of, again, take the reviews with a grain of salt because it doesn't necessarily reflect correctly. I mean, we have a great Google review, overall, but I would like for it to be 100% 5-star. It's like 4.9 now, but I mean,
I know, but God, that's torture though.
It is, and I'm the type of person, like, I want to make everybody happy. I always have been, like, a people pleaser, I guess, if you will. So I've had to learn not to be a people pleaser so much. Like, take care of me, and if everything else works out, it works out.
Yeah, but it's good though. I mean, back on the thing with the business, it's like you jumped into it, and you're like, I'm doing this. You're figuring it out as you go, which is really the only way to do it, because you learn so much more from the failure than you do from the success of just, you jumped in and everything just worked, right? I guarantee you didn't fuck up with the business license stuff again. And once you've done the taxes wrong, and you've screwed that up, then you learn from that one. And it's like, okay, you work on the cars, and it's like, okay, well, I made this mistake. Or, you're working logistics for getting a person in or getting a car in or whatever. It's like, you just have to go, and you just have to do it. I think that's like what I try to tell any person that's wanting to start a business. I'm like, whatever it is you want to do, just start it.
Right.
You can only research for so long. Having a mentor is great. That's like, if you can, that makes a world of difference.
For sure.
But if you don't, you still got to do it.
Right. And I guess being on the police force kind of taught me at the same time, like, to make a decision and to go with it. So, I mean, again, I never wanted to be a police officer, but there's so many things I learned through being a police officer, such as that, or learn how to talk to people, learn how to de-escalate situations. So, like, if a customer comes in, they're hostile, I can de-escalate it, and, we can move on to the next thing. But still, with my employees, there's times where they're constantly calling me, and I'm like, why can't y'all just make a fucking decision and go with it? Like, we'll deal with the repercussions later. Like, just deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't call me.
It's good for them to deal with it.
Yeah. Don't. But like, for instance, we've been here. I had a couple phone calls earlier.
Right.
Don't call me.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
That's why I hired you.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't see it that way. They haven't had to make real-time decisions that, can make or break someone's life,
I think that's one of the good things about that. I can say 100%, had I not had those years, and I just had 7 years in law enforcement, it was all just at UA, but had I not had that, I wouldn't have this business. I wouldn't be able to build rapport with people like I do. I could walk in any room, tell me who I need to go talk to, tell me whatever, and I can immediately walk up and be able to build rapport with you and have a good, have good conversation.
Yeah, because you learn how to talk to people.
Yeah, you have no choice.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're stuck, and you may be stuck sitting there with somebody for hours.
Yep.
And you walk up, and it doesn't really matter what the situation is. I see this when people talk about interrogations, and I'm like, they're like, oh, look how easy they're going on this suspect and how they're talking to him. And I'm like, yeah, it's called building fucking rapport.
Yeah.
I'm like, I promise you, they don't they ain't got nothing for him. But I was like, it looks soft, but I'm like, they're building rapport because that's how you get your information. That's how you're able to do what they're able to do.
Did you ever work in COP?
No, I wanted to at one point, and they changed the hours, and then I was like, I don't want to talk to people.
COP was great.
Yeah. You did that for a minute.
And for like 2 years or something. Yeah. And for those who don't know, COP was like community-oriented policing, where you were assigned to like work in the dorms and stuff. And I was over presidential for 1 year, and then I was over the Bryant dorm, which is all the players and stuff.
That's right.
And the fraternities. So, so as far as building that rapport with people, you really did that a lot. Like, especially like when I was in Bryant and I was over the fraternities. I had to go out and do their party smarts. So anytime they get a new school year in, they have to go through the program with the police department called Party Smart, and you basically go in and outline your expectations and the rules and all this stuff before they can even register to have their parties. So I would go in and just tell them, hey, look, this is my expectations. If you abide by that, we'll have a good time. If you don't, then we won't have a good time. And I outlined a little more of my stuff, with them, but I had pretty much all of their house officers' phone numbers and contacts, to where if I had a problem, I would contact them first for the most part, depending on the situation. But it make it to where I was building rapport with them, because if I saw an issue, I could address it with them as opposed to making it a police matter. And so they really appreciated that too, to where if they'd had an issue, they would truthfully call me and be like, hey, look, I got this going on. Can you help me? Or what do I need to do? And talking about foot pursuits, one night I had a foot pursuit that somebody else had started, but I went and finished it. And it wound up being one of my fraternity kids. They gave him so much grief because I was the one that did it. They gave him so much grief, he transferred out.
No way.
Yeah. They're like, he told you, bro.
Yeah.
He told you.
So,
but it got to that point with the rapport with
yeah.
them that if they knew that if I did something,
right,
they fucked up.
Yeah.
So,
which that's what and that's honestly what it should be. I mean, look, you matched what that needed to be. You're talking about students. We're talking about college students. We're talking about fraternity. Like, we're not, this isn't, a dope house where they're selling meth out of. Like, this is not the same thing.
Yeah.
Out there, it's so interesting. That was the one thing that I hated about that place, was I always felt like it was like, we don't want you to do stuff, but we want you to do this. We don't want you to do this. And then it's like, no. We need to go easy, and then we're not going to go this route. And it's like, okay, well, if I don't do that, then what? And then, am I supposed to? So people would be like, for me, I just checked out. I was like, nope. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to do anything. That was one of the reasons I wanted to go, because I couldn't keep up with what you want. Yeah. Which version of the police are you want? I get it. Like, I'll step up and do what needs to be done, but I'm not harassing people over something, because these people need to learn how to, this is, a lot of them, this is the first time they've really had interactions with police. Yeah. That's going to shape the rest of the way they think the rest of their life is probably going to be based off of their first few interactions. At least it was for me. Yeah, and I used to tell them, I'm like, look, you're here to get education. I was like, if I can educate you and correct your behavior as opposed to doing some enforcement action, I would rather do that, because, again, they're still there getting an education. I'm educating them on the law. Right. And if that can correct their action without doing something that would be harmful to their, their career or their student status or whatever, then we were going to go through that way. So yeah. I think that was probably part of my downfall too. Yeah. There. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. That's the thing, it's crazy. I've always thought that was just, I don't know if the mentality there was like, well, if somebody up high makes a decision, then fine, but you don't get to make that decision. Yeah. Yeah, and it was kind of a crazy situation, where I left. Right. I left under not my own terms. Right. Which was an absolute ridiculous situation. Yeah. Got terminated over throwing away marijuana and not documenting it. Which, we're talking about students. Right. In dorm rooms. From a dorm, yeah. Who are minding their own fucking business. Right. And what's crazy is the same night that I threw away the marijuana, I caught 3 guys who robbed a restaurant at gunpoint. Was that the same night? The same very night. No. You remember that? Were you on shift that night? Yeah. I was. I don't know if I was. I don't remember if I was on. I remember it happening. They robbed Chewy's at gunpoint. Yeah. I called them. They still had the guns. Still had the cash tills. Did this happen? It happened on evening shift, didn't it? It started right at the beginning of night shift. Yeah. I mean, we were literally in muster and ran out from muster. Okay. Yeah. So we caught them. So I've already done a ton of paperwork for that. And then we're doing a foot patrol of the dorm. And I smelled marijuana. So we did a knock and talk. And was like, hey, we smell marijuana. Can we come in
and talk to you about it. And so they were like, sure. And so the way those dorm rooms are set up, it has like a common area, and it has a hallway and a hallway, and there's 2 bedrooms on each hallway. And so we got permission to come into the common area, the living room, if you will. Well, we walked down the hallways, and through one of the hallways, the bedroom door was open, and there was a clear plastic container of marijuana sitting on the floor in plain view just inside the door. So I told my partner, I was like, hey, look at this, and I shined my flashlight on it. And they said I didn't have permission to search that bedroom and that I did an illegal search. I had permission to be in the common area. I didn't have permission to be in the bedroom.
Well,
even though it's in plain view. It was in plain view. But then it all came to light like 8 months after the fact, because that was in, I think, January. It was 10 months. That was in January.
Yeah, it's football season. When
I got fired in October.
Yeah.
So they called me in and was asking me about it, and I was like, yeah. We threw it away, or I told them that the other officer flushed it, and then the other officer told them that I stomped it in the ground or something. Mm-hmm. But they had told us that we couldn't communicate with each other to corroborate our story. Mm-hmm. Again, it's 10 months after the fact. I mean, either way, it was destroyed.
Yeah. You're never remembering how that.
And it's crazy because it's like if y'all hadn't waited 10 months, it wouldn't have rolled over on the cameras. But the body cameras still showed, us joking about it being half oregano and spices.
Right.
Because I was like, this is trash weed. Because at the university, you saw some good weed. I mean, there was some good stuff that I've thrown away. I've documented. Very again, officer discretion. That's one of those things. It's
you have it everywhere else.
Only other thing you don't really have it on by law is domestic violence and DUI.
Right. I had an officer there. I had a supervisor there tell me that I had discretion on a DV one time, and I remember going, "Yeah, no. They go.
It says you must.
It's the law. It's actually written.
Yeah, the law on DUI and DV say you must.
Right.
It doesn't say you may. It says you must.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it involved an athlete, which is why they said you had discretion.
Yeah,
so.
I don't believe in that bullshit. But
no.
But anyways, yeah, that's kind of the gist of that. It's I think it's just people getting promoted and deciding they want to find something. Mm-hmm. So
that actually was one of the things I learned very fast in that department. And I mean, look, everywhere is going to have something like this.
It does. And truthfully, like whenever we got hired, that was the destination of police departments.
And everyone was coming from all over.
Yeah, it was great. I'm assuming you took the written test the same time I did, and it was like over 300 people who took the written test, and they hired, 8?
Yeah. And
now they're short-staffed and doing sign-on bonuses and all kinds of shit because no one's coming to, and when the chief retired and they got a new chief, I was like, man, this is going to be great because he was truthfully a awesome supervisor.
For sure.
Until
he was your supervisor over COP at one point, wasn't he? He was lieutenant for a short period of time before he went from that to chief.
He was on lieutenant on night shift.
He was over COP though.
Yeah, but that was before. That's when he was a sergeant. I'm pretty certain.
Okay, it may have been. My timeline got weird on that one because it was like out of nowhere. He's in uniform on a shift.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
wait,
what?
He was on night shift, and he was over my shift on night shift, and he was great.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully was. And whenever he got appointed chief, I was like, this is going to be great. Mm-hmm. But it was just.
I thought so too.
It turned into a shit show.
Well, he's coming downstairs with his phone upside down, pretending that it's on, and he's talking to people so he didn't have to speak to his officer. So, But I get it. Look, hey, when you run a business and you start to learn some of these things, I'm not going to fault him on that one because everybody wanted to. You'd walk downstairs and there'd be 30 people at the back door.
And when you're at the top of the totem pole, everybody wants to talk to you, and you're just like, fuck it, I don't want to talk to nobody.
It's like that's why I have everybody else. Yeah. Like I do understand and appreciate chain of command a little bit more now, having this business. And I mean, look, it's just Rachel and I, but it's just understanding why, when you talk to people and you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, to me, it's that whole situation was just completely fucked because, I remember talking to my wife about it, and, she worked in the career center. She worked in Big Good out there, and so her thing was that she's dealing with students, and she's trying to get them jobs and careers, and she's bringing these companies like Boeing and Google to campus to meet with these students, and it's ultra competitive. And even back then, it was still ultra competitive. They're only taking a couple of people for these positions. So what happens when you've had your entire life, you're an extremely smart kid, you're from New Jersey, you're from California, you're from somewhere else, you come here to school because weed's legal where you're from, and you show up here to a college campus, and you're in your dorm room minding your own business, and next thing you know, you've caught, Palm 2, so possession of marijuana second, and you now have a criminal record. And I get that half the things around here, the judges will throw out, give them youthful offender stat. But, you're telling me that some of these companies don't look into it because they do. That was the conversation that we had. And it's like, oh, no, these people, when it comes to really competitive positions, they're going to dig into that. They're going to find it.
Yep.
And then when the person next to them doesn't have that charge, it's just going to be an easy, okay, we go left instead of right. And
I remember one time when I was at Bryant Dorm, because the Bryant Dorm is athletes and it's engineering students. That's the only ones, because engineering students generally, all they do is study. They don't cause a ruckus. They don't do nothing. So I was doing a foot patrol there one night, and I did a knock and talk, and the guy answered the door, and I was like, look, man, I smell weed, and here was an engineering student. I was like, look, man, I smell weed. I was like, if you just give it to me, I'll just throw it away. We'll be done. Just don't do it again. He's like, well, I kind of got a lot. And I was like, fuck. Dude brings out like half a pound.
no.
So I did like 4 flushes in the office at Bryant to flush all that shit.
You probably clogged that shit up.
Bro, it was, but I gave him my word,
Yeah.
But I told him, I was like, I don't ever want to come back and find anything here. It's like, if I come back, you can get the full ride.
You're going if I'm coming back.
Oh, and that was another thing that was funny on that, on the marijuana that I threw away that got me terminated or whatever. I had told the kids, basically I did a spill with them. I did this I flushed a lot of weed. I was like, if I come back, I find a seed stick stem, anything, you're going to get the full ride. And I was like, I know how to be the real police. Well, that was all on my body camera.
I remember this.
So neighbors
Neighbors
had a pencil. He was so mad. He broke that son of a bitch in half. He was like, you're insinuating we're not the real police. And
it's like, come on, y'all. Just have a little humor.
I was like, it's not saying that we're not the real police. It's saying maybe necessarily the actions that I'm taking aren't fully the full capability of my police duty.
Yeah.
I'm doing you a solid here. Throw away your shit and let's move on,
The thing is, though, only someone who has only ever worked there would get offended by that.
Yeah.
Because we all know.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would tell people too, I'm like, look, if you see UA and you have your opinion or whatever, it's like, well, I mean, we still do all the same stuff that you do everywhere else. You just do it on a smaller scale, and it's just a little bit less. We still worked tons of everything. I mean, DVs were a normal thing. You were still doing all kinds of drugs. You're doing sometimes more drugs than you would do in other places, because that's the primary. You're dealing with everything that you dealt with outside of that. You're just doing it on a smaller scale. But some people there are very sensitive about that kind of comment of real police.
I don't think I dealt with any murders, though.
I think we had 1 or 2.
Yeah.
There was 1 or 2 in the 7 years. I know for a fact that there was 1.
I know we dealt with some suicides.
Suicides were like all the time.
It's always a dead week.
Yes. And then,
do you think that's a coincidence? They call it Dead Week.
Yep. I don't think it's a coincidence.
That's terrible.
No, but it's
the time of the year. Like you said earlier, these kids come from all over, and they've always succeeded with everything they've done. And then you get in there, and they realize that they're not going to pass this class, and just think it's the end of the world.
Which it's awful, because
it is.
It's like I even telling kids now. I have to tell kids now, like my girls. They're 11 and 12 years old, and they're in school, and they get wrapped up in what somebody says or thinks or something, and I'm just like, just understand something. This means nothing.
Right.
I was like, you're not even going to remember this stuff when you're grown. Like this, you're never going to be around these kids. You're so young. You have your whole life, and there's these kids already that struggle with depression which is just wild to me. These kids are having social media and they have Instagram and Facebook at like 12.
Yeah.
And they're doing all, and I'm like, no, like I tell my kids, I'm sorry, you can hate me, but you're not gonna have any of this. Like 15, 16 years old, we can have conversations. No.
That's solid, though.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'll be the bad guy. That's fine. Like my daughter, she's about to turn 13. She has TikTok on her list for birthday gifts. Like, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. But and I'll die on that hill. That's fine. But it's like I'm trying to instill that in them right now. Just understand that like so many things that you think are just the end of the world mean absolutely nothing in your life. And to these students that come out here and somebody breaks up with you, or you're just by yourself a little bit more than what you want to be, like it's college. This is life. Like get out in the real world, and it's not at all like this is not conducive to what life is. And when these fucking tests and all this stuff, you're used to, like you said, I mean, it's like people that are used to being straight A's, and then you come here and then you're struggling and you're away from home. And it's like, I get it. It's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's a tough thing to experience, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, none of that matters.
Yeah.
Worked a lot of ODs out there. That was one.
I would say that pills is probably the most prevalent thing that's abused out there. I mean, you'd think marijuana or alcohol, but I think pills.
Yeah.
100%. Because it's so easy to conceal, too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a charge you definitely don't want. So.
I remember going in one dorm room, and they were doing whippets. I bet there was several thousand CO2 containers in there.
That's insane. And that's taken years off of your life, too.
Yeah.
That is not that's what's just crazy to me was just.
It looked like an episode of Hoarders.
Yeah.
with whippet or with the little CO2 containers.
Can't flush those down the toilet, Bam.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Did you have any like moment out like in policing, like when you first started, that was kind of like an oh shit moment where you're like, ooh, I didn't sign up for this?
Not necessarily. I mean, we had some fun times at Northport. Coming to the UA is kind of lax at UA, but like at Northport, I mean, I've gotten some chases. I've gotten foot chases. I've held people at gunpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Wild West there for a while. It was when they were still doing police work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting there sometimes.
Policing's changed.
Yeah.
It has to change. It has to evolve. I think the way that I was in phases what was the first thing that went down that was national, Missouri?
Like with
the big guy. He
got strangled or whatever.
He was trying to kill the cop. He was chasing. He was coming at him, and the cop shot him.
Yeah.
Michael, whatever it was, I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody's going to eviscerate me on here for not remembering it, but I'm old.
Yeah.
My memory changes. But
yeah, mine's terrible.
But that was like the very beginning of that, and then it was like after that. Next thing we know, it was like every month there was another something
all
that
the police
happened.
brutality.
Yeah, and everything is in the news, and then you've got hundreds of thousands of interactions every day, no problems whatsoever, and we pick one thing, and then everybody's just hating. And so, like, I understand that things need to change. It's like I've always said that I think that the training for law enforcement is a joke. I mean, it's for my academy, it was a joke. Like it was the most stress-free that I've been. It's more stressful for me to do my business than it was for me to be in the police academy.
I think there's definitely a lot left on the table as far as police training. I think they need to do more. I've been to some good training, but it wasn't necessarily mandated. So I think there's a lot more that could be had there.
I heard that over at UA that now that Cardenas is over most all of the training, that it's been like great. I was talking to one of the guys the other day at the gym, and he was like, "Oh, it's awesome because we're training."
Yeah, you're doing
we're
real life situations.
Yeah, I think they're doing like classroom stuff like in the summertime when there's nothing happening, and they're doing it for like getting more in at a time, I think. And again, I don't know. This was just a conversation in the gym, but from my understanding, it's great because, like, hey, you want to go to this? Let's try to get you to this.
Yeah.
And
Cardigan's a good dude, too.
No, he's the best. And so they're doing a lot more hands-on stuff, a lot more practical stuff. You know, when we were there, that was not the case. Half of our training was just sitting in a classroom, you know, understanding policy about this, and nobody's paying attention to that.
Or watching meme videos.
Oh, my gosh, yes. So, but, you know, it's crazy that, you know, you're sitting here, 6 years? What year was it when you were out? Was it 19 or were you 20?
It was 19.
Okay, because I was thinking you were almost a year, and then before me. I quit in October of 2020.
Yeah, that'd be a year because it was October of 19 when I left.
Right. And both of us sitting here now, you know, doing well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I had fun times as an officer, but I don't miss that shit one bit. I mean, there's times like where I miss the interactions and stuff with the kids, especially like doing COP and being able to sit down and have real life conversations with people. You know, I got to meet a lot of great people doing that. But as far as like working nights, holidays, and weekends, football, you can have all that. Football was the worst. I liked working some of the sporting events, but yeah, when you're working 20-hour days for football.
People don't realize what goes into it. And you don't realize that that officer that you talked to that wasn't the nicest has been on his feet for 17 hours, and he's
had 8 hours of sleep in the last 2 days combined.
And it's not just, and I think that's something interesting to talk about too. It's not just the day of the game. It's the weekend.
Right.
Because there's events everywhere.
Well, and like the stadium goes on lockdown on Thursday.
Right.
So there's always, I think, 2 or 3 officers that are stationed at the stadium starting on Thursday. And
I think now it's actually
24 hours.
So I think now it's all week.
Really?
Yeah. I'd have to double check on that.
So if they had like 2 weeks back to back at home, the stadium's constantly locked down. That's insane.
Yeah. It's pretty much all locked down. You're working overtime. The thing is that what's happening, so if you're in the Tuscaloosa area and you're dealing with these officers, well, there's parties everywhere. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There's regular events, and the way that it works with football is they're trying to fit everything that they can into that weekend because people are in town and people will show up to things. Well, that means that every single officer within the city is working, and they're working all weekend.
Yep.
And depends upon your shift and where you are as to how much you get the shaft.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know I was on the shift that got shafted most of the time. It just always seemed to be that I would get just completely screwed, and I'm there till 22 hours until my last 2 years. My last 2 seasons were fantastic.
Yeah.
I had it made. I did the official escort. You did the official escort.
Yeah, I did that for 2 years. That's a pretty sweet gig.
Yeah. I was about that one. That was fun.
Did you go to stand on the sideline like halftime?
I didn't get to stay on the sideline. They wouldn't let me do that anymore.
So they made me go like patrol, you know, and once I got the referees to the stadium, you had to go on patrol, and then like you were supposed to come back to the stadium to escort them when there's like a couple minutes left, but I would go at like third quarter.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of hang out on the sideline.
That's nice.
Nobody ever told me no. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they got wind of it and they were like, no, because they told me like show up at the beginning of the fourth. But it was nice because I couldn't take calls in the third.
Right.
So after halftime, it was basically just like, all right, my night's over. And
and then whenever you get them back,
you were pretty much done.
You fuel up and go home.
So I'll say this: it's funny. The year that Trump came the first time. So were you still out there? It was in 19, and I think this was like this may have been the month after.
I worked one game, and then I got suspended.
Okay. Yeah, so this was like right then. So he comes, and it's the biggest thing in the world, right? Like we've never experienced something like this. And in theory, it's not as bad for most of the guys on the ground because they have their own security. You got Secret Service, Homeland Security, TSA, everyone, and they're handling everything. So we had FBI, we had all kinds of agencies in and out of the department for 2 weeks leading up to it. So they're all set and ready to go. They know everything about the place, and we're good. Well, I'm in patrol, and there was maybe 6 officers in all of patrol for this whole game of the century, presidents coming to town, 1 versus 2, and it's LSU. We all know LSU game is always hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's LSU and Ole Miss were always hell. And so we get to the game, or we get to game day. Now, I still have my official escort, and we get to about it was fine. It was crazy, but everybody's stuck outside the stadium before because everybody's trying to get into the game, and the searches take longer, and that's just how that works when the president's at any event. So just a heads up, if you go to an event, the president's going to be there, it's going to suck. Mm-hmm. You got to get there really early. Well, this time, all the student stuff had been moved to the more direct to the south end zone. Well, there's like 10,000 students outside the south end zone. We really hadn't gotten crazy busy yet. There have been just a couple of calls, but the day had been pretty easy, but we're getting closer to game time. And like I said, remember, there's only 6 people in all of patrol. There's 300,000 people out here, and there's 6 of us that are patrol officers. And so calls start coming out, and then we had somebody make a public intox arrest at the gate. And I'm like, are we really doing this, like, right now? Like, that's today? And so they called me, like, hey, go transport. Well, I pulled up, and it was they were in the middle of 10,000 people, and I have to drive my car into the middle of this. Yeah. As soon as yes, nobody's moving, everybody's drunk, it's a whole thing. So I pulled up, and I start to get out of the car, and here comes this, like, 6'8" kid, and he's hanging over the top, and I can't remember which officer it was that had arrested him. I think it was Spencer, but I'm not sure. He's got him, and we're trying to swap handcuffs. Well, this dude's like 1.5 feet taller than all of us, right? And as soon as I get him to the car, I'm checking him, I'm patting him down. You need to check him too. That's how it works. So you're swapping cuffs, and as soon as we start to get the cuffs off of him, he starts fighting. And every phone out there, it's like I'm all of a sudden a celebrity. It's like everybody's got their phones out, and their flashes are going off, and everybody's videoing and all this stuff. Get the guy in the back of the car. We just throw him into the car. We're just like, just we'll deal with this later. So I'm headed to the CJ, and call after call starts coming out. And there's ticket scammers, all the things, all the typical game day calls, fights, just wild. Get to the CJ. I go to get out, and this dude is passed out. And I cannot get him awake. And I'm thinking I'm starting to panic because I'm like, he might not be with us anymore.
Do a good old sternum rub.
And so I do. Still not getting up. So now I have to get out the old baton and do that because I'm like, we're gonna get it. He finally wakes up, and I'm telling him, I'm like, you better walk into this you better walk in here, like walk, like come on, like you can do this. And this dude is hanging over the top of me, and I'm having to carry. They're not coming out. They're not coming out unless you call them. And so they're not coming out to help me. And I have to get him up the ramp. I get him in the door. The door opens. And the nurse walks up. She sees this dude hanging over the top of me, and she goes, nope, hospital.
That's the worst.
Dude, I was just sitting and I'm praying. I'm just like, no. Because first off, if you don't know me, I don't like hospitals. I don't even visit sick relatives in hospital. I don't care. I'm not going. I don't do it. But this situation was different. So I'm like, I call Broyles, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, he's got to go to the hospital, and he's pissed, but he's like, it's not your fault, just go and So the way the policy is, you got to sit with them. You're stuck until they leave, and that's it. So now we're down 1 officer, and I'm mad until I get there, and they put us in a room. And I'm like, oh, it's game time. So I was like, I get it out just in time to get my phone set up. And this kid is just like passed out. And nurses come in. They're like, do you need anything? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm just hanging out, watching football, living my best life. Radio's blowing up. People are foot pursuit, fighting. And I'm just like,
chilling.
Okay, Yeah. And then, of course, after about 10 minutes, they take my room from me. Now they put me in the hallway, so I'm in the hallway with everybody else. And now I don't want to be back in here again. Now I'm like, get me out. Yeah. So the kid finally starts to, we're maybe halftime. He's starting to come to a little bit more. They've already pumped him full of God knows what. And he starts joking with me, and he's like really cool. And so we're just kind of, joking around or whatever. And then he starts making comments. He's like, man, I'm fine. I can walk. And I was like, you can walk? Okay. And it was like, he's like, no, seriously, man, watch. I got this. And I was like, okay. And I was like, come here, doctor. Doctor walked to the hall, and he's like, he says he can walk. And he was like, well, let's see. And so they get him up, and he gets in there, half dances himself down the hallway, and he walks back, and the doctor looks at me, and we both gave each other the thumbs up, and he said, okay. And he grabs the little release form, and he starts writing. As soon as he did, and the kid's like, I told you. And then I was like, yes, sir. And then he went, oh, shit. I got to go to jail now, don't I? And I was like, yep. So I take him back down to the jail. Like I said, he was cool. He was fine. We had a good conversation. But, once you're arrested, you're there.
Yeah.
And go back in, same nurse. And I was like, please take him this time. Kind of joked with her. She was fine. She was nice. She took him. I went back to the stadium. It was time for me to sit on my post until my official escort.
It worked out.
I had one call all day long.
That's great.
And I felt bad because everybody had like 15 reports. They were doing reports all Sunday, doing reports Monday.
And you're just like, I sat with a guy at the hospital.
Yeah, I felt so bad, man. But like, it was just one of those funny moments where I was like, okay. So
like, this sucks, but it worked out.
Yeah. It's always, you kind of just try to find the best in it. I was like, I don't want to be here, but I was like, okay, it could be worse.
Yeah, for sure. I would much rather be sitting at the hospital in that circumstance.
Mm-hmm. So, well, buddy, I appreciate you coming in and sitting down with me for a little while, man. Get to talk policing, talk business a little bit, talk life. So just to close out, man, talking about Babb's Auto and Tire. So how does everybody need to find you? So
you can find me on Facebook or Google or wherever. It's just babbsautotire.com or babbsautotire.com. Mm-hmm. And on Facebook, it's just Babb's Auto and Tire, and same for Google.
I'll get some links, and we'll put them in the description whenever I get this video posted up on YouTube, and we'll put it in some of the shorts and stuff that we create. So stuff that you guys work on, what's primary focus for your shop?
Yeah, so we pretty much do everything. I kind of started out, as side work just doing Hondas, but now, I mean, we do anything from Maseratis to, I worked on FedEx trucks for a couple of years. So, I mean, we do literally everything. Engine replacements, transmission replacements, tires, brakes, AC, you name it. Yeah. We can pretty much do it.
Well, I can vouch, man, you are one of the best. You're like locked into that shit 100%, and you do a good job of it. So I've heard good things from people, and I'm gonna have to use you in the future too. So
I'll be glad to have you there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate if y'all are still hanging in. We'll see you next time.
See you.
Awesome. Oh, dude, that's good.
Have you ever heard that story from UA?